Good evening, everyone out there in Speed Gaming Land. Welcome back to the Super Metroid Randomizer Tournament for Speed Gaming Live Online 2023. This is a lower bracket matchup between Nitro and Audraxys. I'm DJ Webb, and I will be bringing you this best of three series along with my co-commentator, A Real Cutie. How's it going?
It's going good. This should be a really good match. I think both of these players are very good. Audra, they're one of the most accomplished randomizer players for Super Metroid in its history, and Nitro is one of the new up-and-comers, one of the best in the scene here. So I think it's going to be a really good match of being accomplished versus kind of being new and up-and-coming here.
Yeah, so these are the 4 and 5 seeds in the bracket, how it started. Both of them seeding wise got upset in the winners bracket, so they're here playing in loser gets 13th instead of winners quarters where you might expect. I would argue actually neither of them got upset in winners bracket. Just kind of the way that the bracket worked out. The 12 and 13 seeds were just really good, so you could lose to them no matter who you are. So yeah, and I was looking. Because, yeah, Nitro definitely newer to the scene. His Randomizer League Season 4 turnout was pretty good. His one regular season loss was to my co-commentator, Cutie. And
That's an infamous seed, too.
Yeah, that was the beginning of the, Cutie goes to
Mama
Turtle and just gets gravity.
Yes.
But yeah, the other one was 1-1 in the playoffs. His team did get a little bit of a reverse sweep, but yeah, he did very well, obviously, and obviously did very well in the qualifiers as well. So, as Cutie said, no slouches in this race. This is going to be a battle, and we will get
absolutely.
all three potential races in today.
Mm-hmm. And winners round 2, just the way everything kind of worked out. I think some players were favored in some of those matchups, but they weren't favored by enough to call them losing like an upset, I think. Because it just gets so close, and at the end of the day, it is randomizer. And the top 16 in this tournament is incredibly stacked. I think any player in top 16 genuinely, has a chance to take the whole thing.
We get the rare double power bomb seed. That is, what is it, like 1 in 36, I guess?
Yeah, something like that.
And
Nitro's gonna check Billy Mays with this. I go back and forth on this. It's slow. Billy Mays is slow. But the big thing is, the big advantage, so supers there make it worse. But the big advantage you would get with doing a Billy Mays here is if it's a portal you want to follow, having extra ammo could be very beneficial to you in a portal you want to follow.
And you don't want to follow that one.
And missiles plus power bombs, the Billy Mays, unfortunately, it's better than double power bomb, but Nitro's not going to be too happy about seeing the super missiles here, I don't think.
I was also going to say it's also probably better than double missile there, just because already having 15, definitely, nothing to shake a stick at.
Yeah, absolutely. 15 is kind of the first magic number for power bombs. In most seeds, you want 15 at least, and then the number can go up depending on what items get picked up. The runners will probably be picking up at least one more if they find it before they find other specific items that might make them not want to pick up more power bombs. But it's when you find 10 at the beginning, you always just kind of assume you'll run into a third, but power bombs can get so scarce that sometimes those might be the only 3 that we find.
Yeah, power bombs are the weird one. They're maybe the most important. They're the most important miner in some aspects. I would say for checking items, they may be the most important miner. In other ways, they're not, because they deal damage to Ridley and normal enemies, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. So real quickly, Nitro did some weird movement coming out of that door. It looks like he missed the lay, but Nitro, so in Super Metroid, any enemy that jumps actually will normalize and set the RNG to a specific value. So Nitro has a setup there where he can manipulate a power bomb by laying it. It's a 2-frame window, and it looks like he missed it. This is kind of a case where you don't really need the extra power bomb drop. I think he just kind of wanted to hopefully try to get it and show it off, because he's not gotten a single seed where he's been able to really go for it yet. But it is an interesting strategy. If you get it it can give you an extra power bomb to go and check 230, or you could skip a ship refill as well. So it's pretty interesting tech that with farming some Kegos for extra power bombs, it could become kind of like a future little time saver if it starts to catch on and people get pretty good at it, because you could skip a ship refill.
Yeah, there are some times where actually the ship refill can be pretty handy and clutch. So like as far as that's concerned, like that quote unquote time save might actually not be the greatest, but you really
exactly.
never know.
Yeah, that save is just really nice, because if you find like a reserve over here and it's 2 portals that are bad, or like one of them's a West Meridia here that you can follow, you can just fall down and reset back to your save if it's not good. And you miss a reserve, but with 2 E-tanks right now, if it's a reserve at Terminator, you're probably not too worried about your health yet.
Yeah. So neither of these portals were fantastic. We are going to see Audra take this Upper North Croc Door portal. You can do some things here. 2 tanks is, not the greatest equipment set to like, start doing some serious hull runs, but that's a decision they've made. We're going to see what happens here. If you had like Wave and Spazer and you could do like, Speedless Speedway, I would think I would like this a lot more, but for now we're going to see what they decide to do. Is there's a chance this could just be like, come into Bubble Mountain, get a miner, and maybe like leave out single chamber or something, because any of the items here, like, it's full safe scum, and like if you don't get a tanker variant, you're not keeping anything that's not speed at speed.
Yeah, exactly. And the hard thing too about the speedless speedway is it wouldn't be unlikely to just get stuck in business center. Because you can't do it the other way, you can only do it the one way, so like that also makes it a little risky. And with 2 tanks, so the way the logic is, the Croc portal to Bubble Mountain, I believe, is actually 2 tanks. It might even be 1, but the only item it would put in logic then is the ammo check here. And then the Chronic Boost portal and the single chamber portals are 3 energy tanks logically. And then this item here, the speed booster item, and I believe the reserve item, are 4 energy tanks logically. So nothing here is in logic, and they won't be able to keep the item that's here unless it's a Vario suit or any tank, as DJ Webb said, which is a big reason why there's some risk involved with this play. It's understandable if you're not super worried about doing 2 tank hell runs. And there's the Varia. Oh my. And there's the Varia. That's pretty much best case scenario, because it's kind of risky to be doing the 2 tank hell runs. It's randomizer though.
I'm kind of at a loss for words. This is like, I said like, the exact things that would be kept here, and yeah, like best case scenario, there's been I think one of the games versus Kip, they were also doing some of these like low tank hull runs, and it like didn't really work out, I'm pretty sure. So like,
Yeah, and I get it, because running across criteria feels really slow, and especially with this loadout, you don't want to run across criteria and just for the 1 portal. You want to get both, and so then you're kind of pricing yourself into doing a CWJ across the moat, which is, any percent runners will do it, but they have bombs to back it up, right? If you're forced to do a CWJ, no matter how good you are at that trick, sometimes it's just going to take you 45 seconds or a minute. I think Nitro, actually, I wouldn't surprise me if Nitro followed because of that reserve from Gauntlet.
Yeah, Nitro, along with the Billy Mays additional check, also went to Gauntlet post BT instead of just going to us. So yeah, has a reserve, and definitely has picked up missiles in 2 places so far that Audra hasn't, as well as an extra super. But yeah, if we don't see this Upper North Fair into Varia pretty quickly, things could spiral out of control quickly as far as the race is concerned.
Yeah, and so here's a big thing about area rando though, right? Audra, they found that Varia suit right away, and that's big. But in area, you don't necessarily get as punished for not going directly to where the items are, or going to the quote wrong location, as much as you would in a vanilla map, because you're at least gaining something by going the wrong direction, in that you're gaining portal information. So it's not really terrible, Like Nitro is behind, but depending on how the portals work out, there's a chance that it works out just fine, and spiking this very is not as big of an advantage as it looks.
Yeah. Ooh, a nice space jump. Debatably the best movement item to have solo of them all, just because like I don't know,
Yeah,
speed by
it really
itself kind of
depends.
sucks. High jump is great and like comfortable, but like doesn't necessarily do as many things as space jump.
It really depends on what you're having to do. I think if you're in a situation where you're trying to check West Meridia, you would rather have space jump than high jump because you're not having to do any gravity jumps. But if you had to choose a combination of two, I think high jump is in your combination of two along with speed booster, and then you just skip the space jump. But as on its own, space jump is really good. Okay, so that's crab hold there.
So yeah, we're getting some portal knowledge here from Nitro, and we also got the bottom of West Meridia on Audra's side. So that's there's some comments in chat. One of the better ways probably for Nitro to get back here that he had available was finding the single chamber portal from the other side. So depending on where West Meridia is and how you pop into there, that is definitely not out of the question, but it could also be like, that's the check that you like can't come back from in a lot of situations. So probably the hardest one, like, you're falling down and you fall down from the top and go into Main Street, and that's good. Like, you're probably staying there instead of also falling. Just kind of depends.
And this is what I mean by that CWJ. It is in logic and can be required that you do it.
And Croc, after spending a minute on CWJ, like, you don't want to make yourself go back, basically.
Absolutely. And I think Croc checking it is... It's hard to make generalizations about this mode because this mode has so many scenarios that there's going to be any exception that you make to any sort of... There's always going to be an exception to some rule you make, but more often than not, I think the earlier you find Croc, the more appealing it is to do. You're here, and the other reasons why you might skip a Croc is if it's really available, and this Croc is looking like it might not be because the other portal near here is atop of Red Tower, and that elevator portal could be bad and very inaccessible. At which point this Croc is hard to get back to. We may see Audra just do the first item and leave. The first item is about, depending on how fast you do the fight, 45, 55 seconds. That second item, depending on your loadout, can be upwards of 2 minutes if you're checking ammo checks along with it.
Yeah, so we found our way from Chronic Boost down here to the bottom of Red Brent Star, and then we found a charge at Spazer. So already, very space jump charge and a nice wave beam to go along with it. As we get back to Upper Norfolk, actually on the other side.
Nitro went for it.
Oh my goodness, we have a vanilla Kraid Slayer. Boss is not going to be checked at this time.
I think Audra's shaking their head because there's nothing to follow out of Business Center. So like they checked the portal and realized that they should have done it after Business Center probably, just because no matter what item you find here, you have every other Upper Norfair portal. So you're just looking for these items. And so, it also makes sense to delay it after these items, right? If it's a gravity suit here or a grapple beam lets you do any boss that's at the crate area. So it makes complete sense. And that's probably why they were shaking their head, because they figured they probably should have just gone down the elevator. But it's really hard to make those decisions as fast as sometimes you're given to make them, because you don't know it's Business Center until you get there. And then you have to immediately make a decision on it that sometimes you're not prepared, and minor stuff like that can happen.
Yeah, so Crocomire with the Spazer and an energy tank. Nitro's not... I mean, the Spazer, especially, we know that Charge Beam is readily available, and it's in the next area Nitro's going to if he makes his way all the way down there. So, they're not terribly unhappy with the Spazer. The E-Tank is gonna definitely be good as far as, the Hellruns are a lot more desirable the more tanks you have, basically, in general. So, we know that Fairy is behind the Hellrun. So it's time that obviously wasn't necessary, but probably isn't gonna be too harmful, I'm gonna say.
Yeah, absolutely. This early on this health, you're not necessarily upset about finding energy tanks, just because it makes your bubble mountain faster. Obviously, with where that energy tank is, it's not going to make up for the time that it took to get it, but it's not a completely useless item. You're not gaining, it's not a dead time loss, basically, from Nitro's perspective. And here's a green Brinstar.
Gonna lead him away from the rest of the red tower goodies, but yeah, that's still a good find. And there's a lot of good things that can be in Green Prince Star, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way this kind of works out is, depending on how these portals work out, it's not unlikely one of these goes to a West Meridia. So like if a gravity suit is here, it will route Nitro kind of back into Bubble Mountain possibly, and there's a speed booster, which is pretty big.
Also, like, in some scenarios, like, you're doing, you know, Green Brinstar from exactly this direction, and this exactly is where Speed Booster is. If you came from the other direction, that's a worse spot for Speed Booster relatively, so that also feels good.
Yep, exactly. And this is, if you're clearing Green Brinstar from anyway, the portal you don't want to see is the middle. Like, I think in general, most runners will eat the time loss and check that bottom portal just because it is like the long end of punish on it is so much worse than just like the upfront cost of checking it. Because like it's Green Brin can just be so far out of the way, and that bottom portal, if it's incredibly important, just has a long tail of much greater time loss than, you know, the upfront time loss of just checking it and knowing. But, you know, it's nice to find it from one side so that you don't feel like you're wasting a bunch of time going across New Bridge twice, and then it's like, well, if I wanted to leave out the bottom at the end anyway, it's like, well, I just wasted all that time to leave out the bottom. But oh, and a high jump boots. This is my dream Green Brinstar.
Nice Green Brinstar for the start. We find Vanilla Crate, which is also nice in area boss seats where the other item in Crate's lair can be, you know, out of sight, out of mind a lot of the times.
Definitely. That Crate closet location is definitely one of those locations that can sometimes make skipping one of the suits a very viable strategy. If one of the suits ends up there and Crate's in a really, you know, weird location. So being able to kind of check that off the list with having the Varia suit already is definitely a big bonus.
Yeah, we'll see. It seems to me that it's... How do I actually feel about this? I feel like Green Brinstar connects to West Meridia more than likely in this seed, just because we have 3 of the 4 left to find.
Yeah, so if it doesn't, West Meridia connects to itself and has Turian in it, basically. Because it would have to be back of East, back of LN, front of Wreckship. Or sorry, no, never mind. But, yeah, we're missing the middle of Red Brinstar still.
Yeah, that too. That was just the unlikely thing as well, yeah. But we'll see. Because I'm just thinking, like, for Nitro, like, obviously, just, you know, finding the charging later means you're going to collect more miners than you maybe would like to, especially on the missile front. But, like, you know, getting back to Red Tower is maybe a little difficult from here. It seems like, you know, like we said, if he does find West Meridia, which I think is pretty likely, you know, he has the opportunity to fall down and end up in single chamber if he falls completely, and that'll, you know, like we said, put him in a situation to be close to Varia, and he's got great movement too, so...
exactly, and at the same time too, you know, this seed's not looking like it, but, you know, there are plenty of times where you can take a route through the seed where you just don't find Varia, and it works out for you almost better than someone who might have found it, just with the way portals works out. It doesn't look like this seed is going to be one of them necessarily, but, you know, it's not like a Chozo, for instance, like a Chozo area. In Chozo area, there's just so few, like, major checks, and none of them are E-tanks, that you're pretty much just almost always looking for both suits in that. Whereas in this mode, there's definitely a lot more potential skips that you can make, or items that you don't directly need.
Yeah, and there were barely any E-tanks in this Green Brinstar, like high jump speed and screw attack. I think this is a tank here that he didn't get on the way in, but yeah, a very nice collection of items, and we're gonna see it's the X-ray check was a reserve, so no other big ticket things here. So like we're actually pretty limited on the number of places gravity can be. It's like we're already down to like boss areas and like suitless stuff, which obviously we already have high jump for, so that's something that can be possible. But yeah, we're getting like all of our outstanding information at this exact moment.
Yeah, pretty much. So that is going to be okay.
So yeah, and
Is this in front of ship? I don't think so.
So
It could be.
We're in a situation where like what's about to happen more than likely is that Audra's about to just go through what Nitro went through, which like basically what we were looking at is there was a chance that Nitro could have spiked some pretty good advantages with this movement items that he picked up, but that looks decently unlikely here.
So the hard part from Nitro's perspective is he doesn't have a way back up because he doesn't know the portal's at the bottom, and he's going to follow it. I think this is fine. I think because you have 2 outs and there's only 1 bad portal left. He's missing front of east.
Well, no one's found Turian. There's especially from Nitro's perspective, there's actually quite a few bad outcomes here.
Yeah, from our perspective, this is pretty good for Nitro. I'm trying to think of from what he's missing. Worst case for him is back of LN and Turian.
Back of LN's bad. I mean, he hasn't seen Kraid's Lair. That's bad.
Yeah. Does he have a save? I don't think he does. This is...
If he has any save... I mean, well... It's at the ship. Because, like, you kind of just don't save in Green Brinstar.
And Nitro doing the roll-off. It's so much easier than getting a bunch of fall speed. If you ever miss that unmorph, I recommend just doing the roll-off. It's a little bit slower, but you will never miss it.
Yeah,
and it looks like Audra's going to do both items. Okay, and there's grapple.
Interesting.
Yep, and with high jump and speed, you can just do a nice running jump there. And
I guess we know that technically that's like not logically required at all, just because we've seen all the West Maria portals, but it's still interesting.
It could be for front of east with an ice beam at this point with gravity outstanding.
You wouldn't need grapple actually. Snail climb's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
logically, like I said, but yeah,
it's helpful for what is it? It's helpful for getting up certain places, and it lets you even skip the ice beam because you can use the grapple beam to climb the room before Colosseum. Yep, and as Chad is pointing out, this is a way back up for Nitro. If the West Meridia portal leads to a portal that you can get a Shine Spark in, what you can do is you can Shine Spark up Main Street, and then at the middle of Main Street, you can do an underwater wall jump, and use the grapple beam to climb across the top of West Meridia.
Yeah. So with the red tower save that Audra had, actually full resetting all of that croc area, the spades are not worth the time to climb back out in their estimation. So yeah, we do find a front erect ship here at Ocean. So I mean it's 20% to be vanilla, but I guess like because Nitro doesn't have Varia, like the option for like Ridley with like gravity or something is like something that the seed could be wanting here, because there's, like I said, what's the rest of the portals? We have back of Lower Norfolk to Turian. That's the rest of the portals.
Yep. And I mean that still is in Varia skip territory because it's that direction.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, basically from this point, Audra's just going to be following what Nitro did, I don't know, 5 minutes in the past, but with,
the
lots
Varia
more
suit.
knowledge and also Varia and Space Jump.
Yeah.
So Nitro's going to give us all the new information, more
Okay,
than
so
likely. Nice reverse mockball.
this is a rough situation though, because the hard part about Rick's ship is there's no place to farm supers. If he could farm to 30 supers, it is a doable Ridley, and it is technically doable here, but it's a hard Ridley unless you have your max supers. Thankfully, he has the screw and the high jump, which makes the fight significantly more comfortable, and you're much less likely to take a hit. And you're less susceptible to just getting bad luck. Bad luck, if you don't know exactly how to manipulate Ridley perfectly, bad luck of Ridley going into swoops hurts a little bit less with high jump because you can kind of follow Ridley up into the swoops much more easily.
Yeah. Yeah, Chad has the Giga Brain strat. Just open every door and then like do the slowest super farm ever. It is Ridley. Of course it's Ridley. It's always Ridley in Wreck Ship. It's a rule. He wants no part of it, which is pretty unfortunate because getting back here is non-trivial. It's very non-trivial, actually.
Yeah, a big problem is that the crab hole, the single chamber, is a same way door, but single chamber doesn't give you enough running room because there's a little grab jump you can do if the transition's exactly the same.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it just doesn't give you enough running room to be able to get it from that portal. At least in the few times I tried. Maybe you can do it, but
I was about to in the theme of saying silly things that probably won't happen. Charge a spark in Ocean, and then you go up to like Main Street, and it's a super, and then it's like a lot more tenable to just like do that.
Do Ridley? Yeah, that is an option. That is an option. It's hard to think about that kind of stuff because he's probably thinking of like how bad the situation could be for him. He's not soft locked though. That's big. Because he can underwater wall jump, he is able to get up Main Street here.
Yeah, like we said, this is where Nitro needs to be. The issue is just kind of like where you need to be after that. It seems like it's gonna be decently far away. Yeah,
there's some items left with our knowledge, and those items are behind Ridley and East Meridia at this point, I think.
Well, we've seen Upper Norfair, and there's only one way into it, or not Upper, Lower Norfair. There's only one way into it.
That is true. Yeah, with the high jump, that is also in logic as well.
Yeah, and
so items could show up there.
That's probably it's definitely the outcome you don't want when that's literally where the end of the game is. But honestly, it's very unlikely for that to not be the answer.
The big thing here is Nitro's comfort with a suitless crystal flash clip could come in handy if the gravity is in that lower Norfair and Ice Beam isn't anywhere super available. And unfortunately, the order Nitro is checking this in is going to get in the Varia suit last, but he was probably checking all this anyway, so it's not really the end of the world for him, and he can pick up that chronic boost portal. As Audra is going to also, fall down this West Meridia here.
Yeah, and I do believe that at this point their outstanding knowledge is this bottom of West Meridia, which goes to Wreck Ship, and then the other side of the lower Norfair to Turian. I think that should be all that they don't know already.
Correct. So yep. I believe once they get
some stuff.
I think they're just trying to look at where Crab Hole takes them if how this works out. Because a back of LN could be Main Street as well. Or no.
Yeah, well, Turian is the thing that would make them go back down to Crab Hole.
No, because if Turian's here, where would back of LN connect? At Main Street,
it would be front of Wreck Ship, yeah.
Oh, front of Wreck Ship, yeah. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I was thinking Turian was, yeah. I forgot we were missing front of wreck ship. I'm reading the map that's already filled in
Yeah.
and trying to read it with incomplete information, and it becomes a mess sometimes.
Yeah, and more on the level of what I was talking about earlier with, the charge being so accessible, like 65-35, which obviously is like not great ammo because you'd rather be 35-65, but so many missiles picked up in a seed where, Audra's very much not having that. Those are fanfares you're never getting back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So Audra's going to come here and find Ridley, and the item behind Ridley is actually going to inform quite a bit about how the rest of the seed is going to play out, actually.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, the thing about it is, it's like, even if it's exactly Ice Beam behind Ridley, like, do you really want to go into East Meridia? Like, you're hoping for gravity, or like exactly gravity or spring ball to like let you like complete the area.
That's
And
the
like
big
obviously
yes.
the odds aren't like amazing, but like Lower Norfair is decently more likely to pay out, especially with the Fantoon possibility at the boss.
Yep, so it is a straight 50-50 for Fantoon and East Meridia at this point, because it's the Ridley and wreck ship. Because that would mean that Fantoon's and LN and the bosses are flipped, which lets 2 be vanilla, because if 2 are vanilla, the remaining 2 are flip-flopped on their locations. So it's a straight up 50-50 for the Fantoon there. And I think with looking at the rest of the map, I think it is a risk, but like the payout on it is incredibly good. And if gravity isn't there, like you're definitely going to lose a few minutes, but I think the payoff is better than going into Lower Norfair and losing many minutes that way and having to come back out the front.
Honestly, both of the backtracks kind of suck if you like don't get what you need. It's weird.
Yeah, and that's where and that's where it gets really hard to make the decision, right? Because realistically, there's more checks in Lower Norfair, but like the payoff of going there first is much lower than the payoff of just going straight into East Meridia first.
Yeah. So we'll get to see what happens here. The item here, like we said, is going to be huge. Nitro is also doing Crazy Layer first, but he's going to check the boss, so that's not going to be bad for him. A vanilla crave, but unfortunately without the answers to the seed.
Yeah, and for Nitro, there's not a boss here that he can't do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some talk about this really fight, which did not go as, fast as it definitely could have. Obviously, we talk about it. Wreck ship, nowhere to farm. Audra was not high on supers. And looked like they wanted to do an X Factor, but, it's hard to do that without the, like, normalized setup when you're in a boss window situation.
It's possible, but it's something that can go really wrong if you've not practiced it, because it's a little bit different. In a situation with Varia, it's a lot less risky to go for, but without Varia, you kind of can't get away with it, unfortunately.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 bosses go at the same time. One of them took significantly less time. And it's just a reserve. So yeah, our answer is in Lower Norfair for certain.
Yes, and that's because everything else has been checked, and that's really big information, actually.
I think overall that's probably good for Audra, just because, well, first of all, they already know that. That's one thing. Second of all, like, no matter if you do this Ridley, like, now, or, like, if Nitro's perspective, he just goes LN first and gets the answer, like, you have to come here still.
Yeah, but there still is the situation of Ice and LN.
Yeah, and yes, and also, like, if Fantoon is the boss and then the answer's back here, like, they did both double dip it, so that's not even, like, advantageous for one, but Nitro wouldn't have to, like, triple dip, for example.
Exactly. And being able to CF clip, if it's not that Fantoon there, is really big, and I think in Nitro's situation, it's when you know the map, it's almost something you kind of have to do. Because your other options really bad.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So currently, like we said, we know the answer to Lone Warfare. Nitro's actually really close to it, but walking away from it. And yeah, about to get the probably welcome, but still a little bit, charge beam just because of the sheer number of ammo pickups that have already happened. But yeah, I think he actually doesn't know the tube, or not the
The
Red Tower door here for Nitro. So he was gonna go to X-ray regardless, but I think that's gonna be the end of his knowledge. And that could honestly put him in a situation where he wants to clean up Ridley because you're in West Meridia and you have the ability to get down there.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep, and it looks like Audra is going to Lower Norfair here.
People are also pointing out that Nitro did not go down to Hedge Up and Ice, so that could be a pretty good time save. It was an E-Tank and an X-Ray, I believe.
And yep, you are correct. I was just going to be using this to I think Nitro's treating this as go mode. And kind of banking on Fantoon not being in East Meridia here.
That's a risk that didn't work out earlier this week for Farflu, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes the way these seeds work out, you kind of just get put into a situation where you kind of just have to make those plays because the alternative is really bad, and a situation where it almost feels like you're losing if you play safe like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this goes, just because, so, like, if gravity's exactly here, like, you turn around right now and everything's fine. If it's not here, that's where things go, like, you're going all the way, definitely to Firefleet. I think you're checking that first almost no matter what. It's not here.
Yeah, and she's, so, from Audra's perspective, they're missing Gauntlet. And Gauntlet could just have an Ice Beam for East Meridia. So at this point, I'm not sure if either runner is going to feel really good until they find either an Ice Beam or a Gravity Suit. It seems like Nitro's kind of just treating this as go mode, however.
Yeah, once this Ridley is done, we're definitely going to be able to see what he's feeling about. Because, yeah, if you can do the Crystal Flash clip to, get through Botswoom suitless, and then you also, get the 50-50 in your favor and Dragon's vanilla, and you can get out, then, it's potentially a pretty socialist Ridley. Obviously, with Ice Beam not found, there's still a chance that Gravity's just a Botswoom E-Tank, and that would obviously be, like, the dream scenario. But you are, I was wrong about Firefleet first, but yeah, it's just the routing is a lot better, but it's a pretty slow East Meridia, and yeah, we'll still have to see. Again, this next play is gonna tell some tales, especially because, again, probably the best thing that you could do from the perspective is the thing we were talking about earlier. Oh, he's going back, which was something I was trying to consider but didn't know where it led.
It leads to meme route, so he's going to be going to East Meridia here.
Okay.
Yep. And if Firefleet isn't exactly Ice or Gravity Suit, then that means Fantoon is guaranteed to be down here in Lower Norfair. But since Audra is going to be checking the boss first, we're going to know what boss is going to be in store for Nitro when he gets to East Meridia.
And it is Vanilla Dre.
And it is a Vanilla Dragon. And Audra has the same... is realizing Fantoon is not what they wanted to see there.
Yeah, and obviously still, like, if Gravity's at Firefleet, like, no harm, no foul for this. But, yeah, things are going to potentially start getting... things could flip on their head here if Nitro can pull off this, completely suitless East Meridia, or if it's not completely suitless and the Gravity Suit's just there. But hard tricks and, potentially slow things. We'll have to see what's going on here.
Hmm. And with Dragon, Vanilla Nitro is able to do full suitless. I'm not sure how practiced he is at turning the flash suit into a blue suit, but I would imagine with the way that he's going into East right now, he knows what he's doing.
And also, you know, as well as but the potential of, you know, gravity being at Batu, and it could also make it really easy and give him spring ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Also a possibility, but that
Mm-hmm.
like if gravity suits there, it's on purpose. If spring ball's there, it's not. It's kind of what I'm thinking. On purpose for a relative term.
Yeah, for the logic, yep.
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah.
'cause I don't know if Audra knows that Nitro is a suitless CF clipper, because that is something that could be really big here, knowing that trick, especially if it's an ice beam here at Firefly or in Wrecked Ship. I'm not sure Audra's familiarity with the trick. If it's not something that they're super familiar with, though, you know, they're kind of in a situation where they have to find a way through that Batoon hallway.
Yeah, Nitro has refilled everything, which is a little unfortunate given if you're suitless CF clipping, you're draining all of your health and you just refilled it, but you needed the resources for other things, so it makes sense. And yeah, like you said, here on the left side of Criteria is the front of East Meridia, and we're about to find out if gravity's here, things are looking real good for Audra. If not, who knows? And it's not. Yeah, our answer is back in Wrecked Ship.
Yep. And
again, it's not.
Nitro's having second
inconvenient
thought
to get there. Oh.
About skipping Business Center right now.
So yeah, this is something people often wonder about in these seeds, because you see people doing this play, you know, somewhat frequently, and this seed is telling us, you know, 100% sure, like this is something that can be required by the logic to reverse acid dive, because yeah, in this seed, as we know, the answer is behind Phantom somewhere in Wrecked Ship, and Phantom was over on the right side of that, so you absolutely had to do this. And yeah, I think if you like just bull rush into East Meridian and you haven't done these, you're like, you know, you're betting it all on 00 as opposed to, you know, like red or black or something like that. But
kind of. I mean, I think it's a 50-50, right, with the boss being there, and the upside is better than the upside of taking this 50-50, right? Because like it's either the solution. It's not actually like so. The gravity location isn't 50-50, but the boss location is a genuine 50-50. So going into East just has the much better upside than this side of the coin, which I think makes it just a higher expected value to go into East Meridia if you're comfortable with that suitless Crystal Flash clip. But having not seen the Ice Beam, it makes it scary because, you know, it makes it feel less likely that the gravity suit is there, and that turns, you know, a Phantoon at the back of East to be just pretty terrible.
Yeah, and again, we keep having to get into Wrecked Ship, and it's just like not convenient in this seed. It's so funny how this is working out, because yeah, like the best way into Wrecked Ship is actually like in West Meridia, and like
yeah, I think Nitro's either Nitro forgot he had Spring Ball or he's just being scared.
Doesn't have Spring Ball.
Yeah, I think maybe he thought he had Spring Ball and he's realizing he doesn't and is being scared. Because this looks like an LN trip.
Yeah.
Or a trip to X-Ray.
If that's what happens, he did X-Ray. I think he definitely should have. Yeah, if Nitro is just going to be following the footsteps, obviously pure lead, that divergence into potentially doing a full suitless play, or doing suitless early, as it could turn out in the seed. He hasn't done X-Ray. I'm surprised by that. Just like he came in here, you know, got the charge at Spacer, and you know, had space jump for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like Nitro just kind of having second thoughts here about, you know. Oh,
There
okay,
was
so
a
Nitro took
save
the
at the
save.
ship,
Yep.
for sure. I've mentioned that,
Yep.
especially for the refill.
Yeah, and you know, it's a safety play, but from our perspective, that's, you know, he kind of needs the gravity to show up now at the Batoon item with the fast CF clip. If the
Yeah.
gravity is just down here, or in this wreck ship, then Nitro's in a really bad spot compared to if he just went into East Meridia and took that 50-50, because in this situation, like, you're taking that 50-50 like anyway, unless those 3 exact checks were gravity. But if those 3, the way I see it is, if those 3 exact checks were gravity, you already skipped them. You're probably already not in a good spot.
Yeah. So yeah, there's also, you know, obviously we're looking very much for gravity suit here on Audra's side. Ice obviously could be the logical answer. We're about to find out somewhat quickly on Nitro's side, but you know, also like Plasma's also pretty good here. And like, you know, it's kind of irrelevant because like finding both Ice and Spring here would put you in a go mode that you know won't be required because you're gonna run into gravity regardless. But yeah,
Yeah, and there
we
it
do
is
find
at
a
wreck ship
gravity
E.
suit, and that's probably early enough that this full suitless play isn't going to matter, even with, you know, the several trips in a wreck ship and pretty much full double dipping on Lin. Gravity's gonna save a lot of time there in East.
Yeah, just the time spent going for, you know, grabbing those items that he missed is gonna prove pretty big. I don't, gosh, with the gravity there, I'm not sure that it mattered, but I mean, it was quite a bit of time loss. I'm not sure it would have been enough if he went straight here, depending on how fast he gets this suitless CF clip.
Yeah, it's obviously it's not a free trick. I don't think anyone's ever called suitless CF exactly free. But you know, it's definitely a thing people work on, and as well as, you know, just the overall time difference between suitless and having the gravity suit. Although obviously, you know, comparatively, because you only have to do East Meridia suitless, it's really not too bad. So yeah, we do see it successfully. That was like third try, maybe not bad at all.
Nope, not bad at all. Using Eddie's setup there.
Yeah. So there's a chance that they like sync up probably post Dragon, honestly, like as far as like where they actually are, because
Yeah.
Audra's traversing criteria is going to end up here as well.
Yeah.
The other thing that, you know, in that, you know, theorizing what could have happened if Nitro made this play a little bit ago, he has a better beam and better ammo than Audra, so like, you know, the very end of the game was also going to be quicker for him just because the spacer was reset. And you know, obviously like Plasma could show up exactly here and that like completely negates any of this, but you know, there were other factors as well as the, you know, routing
Going
time
back
save.
for that stuff he skipped was also just a lot of time. Like, checking high jump and ice beam was 90 seconds plus, and then going all the way to X-ray too. Like, it's just so much time, and he sees it's not gravity, and
yeah, he went back and then he's going back on his back.
Yeah, no, like farming power bombs, I guess.
That would be my best guess, yeah, because you do literally need power bombs for this. Hopefully, Dragon, like he doesn't even know it's Dragon. So, I think even if he had just kind of fledged forward, my sync timing was way off. I didn't realize just how close the East Meridia was.
Yeah, it was pretty close from that meme route going out the back of Frick Ship like that.
See, and yeah, also, especially if, like, even if you were leaving, like, you're not crystal flash clipping back. Like, you need to just fall down the sand holes in here. So yeah, here comes the pass, and
yep.
Oh goodness, they were completely out of supers.
Yeah.
Only need, you know, door
Only
supers.
need
You've got a
two.
grapple and speed kill, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think even if Nitro continued, it might not have been enough, but like those checks, picking them up with the even with the save reset back to the ship with that save, it was probably a couple minutes, maybe close to 2.5, 3 minutes at least, and that's a lot of time.
Indeed, it is. So we're gonna be seeing either. I mean, you have exactly a high jump speed, charge, and wave like as your item sets. So you could just do like the normal any percent or 100% or like most vanilla category Dragon here, or you could opt for the grapple kill.
Yeah, I mean, I think you spark immediately, and I mean at this health you could go for a 3 spark, especially with high jump. It's pretty comfy. But like if it gets out of sync like this, yep, exactly. You just would go for the grapple kill at this point. If you got a goop immediately, you can just, go for the easy 3 spark kill. And as chat pointed out, Nitro lost close to 4 minutes doing those extra checks.
We get the spike suit. No. We are checking behind the boss. Especially because of how good a both Ice and Plasma were pretty to really good there, so no surprise by me that was checked. So yeah. I just got all 4 bosses cleared. Oh no.
Yeah, so Nitro took off his suit to damage down on the spark there, and then Dragon showed up and deals 160 suitless.
And we're back in oh, saved right before this. I was thinking it was a different save. So yeah, this time opting to damage down here where the enemy is not going to deal nearly as much damage to you. And Audra having some questions about the correct route to go back to Lower Norfair. Yeah, I don't think you wanted to go to Green Hill. So you're going to go to Crateria, and then you need to get to Red Tower, which is the crab, and then you need to go to the bottom. So it is a little bit of running, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
Absolutely.
So hopefully this will, with the damage already done, Nitro will be in a much better spot here. Little bit of RNG just because you can't like react to the goop and lay the power bomb. You have to lay the power bomb preemptively and hope it's a goop. So it does only have 2 additional.
Yeah. So kind of you can. If Dragon, it's a little bit of a feel thing, but if you're far enough to the left here and you wait long enough and Dragon hasn't shown up yet, you can still do it. Because in this case, since he's using grapple, it doesn't matter. But ideally, if you aren't using grapple here and you're using this flash shoot to spark out, you actually want to powerbomb as late as possible so that hopefully Dragon can grab you before it starts taking your supers away from you. But it matters a little bit less here. Nitro, you're going to want to turn on Varia.
It should already be on. Like, I don't know why he wouldn't have turned it back on after damaging down. I could be wrong. I wasn't, looking specifically for that, but it makes sense for me for it to already be on. And question in chat about the Nitro damaging down earlier. It's the strat, if you watch vanilla RBO runs. Basically, this game is weird, and if it interrupts things in a weird way and the game doesn't know what to do, it just kind of gives you a spark suit, and one of those things is in the interruption of a crystal flash in that way. So right now, if Nitro were to like just jump plain old, he would just activate the shine spark. That's why he's either spin jumping or holding angle down while he's jumping, so it won't activate.
Yeah, so this is actually tricky with the flash suit.
Yeah.
You really want to convert it to a blue suit. Having tried to grapple jump out with the flash suit, it is not something that you can kind of just wing it. There's some nuance to, once you get the first jump, it's not too bad. You just have to make sure you're spin jumping for the next ones, but getting that first grapple into morph is actually not trivial at all, because what you need to do is you need to, when you release the grapple on the wall after the bounce, you need to be holding angle down, and then you need to hold down to aim down and release angle down before you release down, so that you continue aiming down for your first morph. So it's not trivial at all, and there's actually quite a bit of nuance to it that makes just getting a blue suit significantly more consistent.
Yeah. So attempt number 3 here on Dragon. We'll see if he opts to take that safe route, like you said, with the blue suit. I think that's also why you were calling for. He was riding Dragon up and both taking a lot of hits, and also like you just know that to get the blue suit, basically you activate the Shine Spark and then get grabbed by Dragon. And another time where the game's like, what the heck do I do? So you keep. It's called a blue suit. QD can explain that better, but basically it's like you have speed echoes.
Yep, and there you go. That's what I would have liked to see the first time. That's why a reserve is so handy if you're doing this, because if you're like, for instance, if you find this boss at Kraid, like having a reserve makes this so much safer, because if you're completely suitless, it's 160 damage, and you need to be. Oh, he didn't activate his spark. Yep. Honestly, trying to do the fast grapple with this is really hard. If you've not practiced it, it's probably better to just focus on getting the blue suit and let Dragon take you to this guy.
And it was popped.
Yep.
So it looks like he's gonna try and Crystal Flash again.
And Dragon does a lot of damage, and you need to be under 50. And so Nitro's in a weird spot where
that grab was clutch if you don't get tail swiped. Wow.
Oh no. Oh, the goo missed him. So we didn't see it there, but also when you're crystal flashing, you don't have iframes. So if Dragon would have gone through him, he would have just immediately died, because he'd have been taking 160 damage every frame. Which is really funny to see. It's really funny when you do it in Lower Norfair, near the Zebos that come out of the pipe, and you see a Zebo just go through you, and your health just stops going up for like half a second, starts going down for a little bit, and you're like, oh wait, now the Zebo doesn't deal enough damage to outpace the CH, or to make a meaningful difference on the Crystal Flash. But Dragon will kill you.
Yeah. Audra did the Powerbomb Metroids, followed by a nice baby skip. This has been a pretty good in-game for them. And we're going to get to see Dragon versus Mother Brain. More than likely, as they very much want to get this speed zap skip. Not a lot of ammo and only charge wave, so every extra bit of ammo is very much welcomed.
Absolutely.
A little bit of trouble with either the stutters or the taps. I definitely don't know which.
That was a stutter issue, so that was a really good short charge too. So like, I would say the biggest differentiator between a really good short charge and a really sick short charge is getting a really good stutter, and getting a really good stutter is really hard. I think, so in terms of distance you have to cover, that short charge is not that bad, in my opinion, but I still think it's one of the harder short charges in the game, just because A, the situation, it's generally, a big moment, but B, the amount of space you have after the door is awkward, and then how far the door is into the short charge is also awkward, in that normally you're used to kind of crouching immediately out of a door, or close to immediately out of a door. There we go, now Nitro's got his blue suit. Nitro needs to turn on his Varia though. I don't think, like, you're taking so much more damage when it's off.
Yeah, the tail swipes are doing double damage. The electricity is going to be doing triple damage comparatively, and I've been interested basically every time as to why exactly he's not turning Very on after the Crystal Flash is successful, but especially there, like once you have like basically everything that you wanted, like Very is just a net positive, and you're turning it back on at some point regardless. So why not there?
Yeah. I can never tell. The only way I can tell is based on damage when people are using different suit color. It's also really hard for me to tell with the palette swap because it looks the same to me when it's on and off, personally. So I wonder if he thinks it's on. Probably not, because he always plays with this palette swap, but...
He's also actively, I mean, like, every time he resets, he has to turn it off. Like, it's not off on the save, so... That's definitely part of the equation as well. So...
We got a long Mother Brain fight here. The charge wave theme. With the ammo, it's less shots, but without the ammo, it's 120.
Yeah.
Okay, Nitro, you're fine. Turn your Vari back on, and Dragon will only deal 80 damage, and you're good.
Did a bit of extra super farming there. I do not know why, but
I think he just accidentally killed the Metroid that he was trying to use to damage on himself.
Oh, that makes more sense. Shout out to Space Jump on the right side.
A wave beam stand up.
Yeah. Think about stand up. So like the damage done is like not gonna be like gonna maybe save one shot. If you manipulate the cutscene well, that does save what, maybe like 2 to 3 seconds depending.
Yeah. About that, yeah. There's some nuance to that. As well as Nitro's trying to convert the flash suit into a blue suit. And they're even with the quick kill as well.
That was nice.
Takes 4 times as much damage from grapple killing Dragon as with the various suit on.
There's some pretty colors here on the palette swap with the like purple Mother Brain, the like light-ish green baby Metroid. Yeah, with the soft lock potential of stand up pass. This one is as in the books as it almost already was. So yeah, we will be quickly done here. Audra's gonna take game 1 unless some catastrophic thing happens. But yeah, game 1 of potentially 3. This was a scene where the backtracking was the thing that, you know, obviously logically was required, and even outside of that, like, it was so likely given like the inconvenient location of wreck ship was a lot of it, you know, kind of regardless. Like we said, like Audrey was in the wreck ship with Varia and like killed really first try, and like still, you know, you had to either come back or do a very, you know, difficult suitless here that we've seen on Nitro's side, and like, and even that was, you know, not guaranteed because of the boss 50-50. So
yeah,
tough seed.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a little surprised. You know, maybe he's just. It's hard, right? There's more pressure here than in just a race lobby with friends where you're all chilling in a voice call, just, you know, doing whatever. But you know, I'm a little surprised he went on it based on what we saw with the fight. It looked like he wasn't entirely comfortable with doing the Dragon in that situation in the first place, but it could have just been, you know, in race situations, sometimes your brain just doesn't work as well. You do stuff that, you know, when you're not in a race situation, especially a tournament race more than just any other race, you would never do it or play something that way.
So Audra finishes first place in this race. Official time 1 hour 3 minutes and 54 seconds. There was a quick forfeit after that. Gonna go ahead and click in on the next race time, see what's going on here. They have started already actually, so not too much of a break from a viewing perspective. We will be getting into game 2 pretty quickly, but yeah, they agreed. Tough seed. This one, Yeah, just and it's like it's one thing for like the seed to kind of like on its own, like in a vacuum, be kind of wonky, but like especially in a race scenario, like we talked about a little bit, like because Ellen has Turian on the other side, like wanting to leave that for last is like a very big thing in your mind. So like
Yes,
deciding to do it.
Playing a seed is entirely different from racing a seed, and racing a seed 1v1 is also entirely different from racing it as in like a group or a qualifier. It's not easy, and this is, I'd say, a pretty hard seed in a race situation. I think if you are willing to risk that 50-50, which I think Nitro is in a situation where it seemed like a pretty good play, and you're comfortable with that Dragon, I think that ends up the best route here for sure. But not everyone's comfortable with that, and so it doesn't really work out here for Nitro. It looks like he kind of just ended up overchecking a little bit at the end instead of going straight into this for like that kind of just in case. And that's the hard part about these. You'll get in your mind, I skipped some stuff, but oh, what if that's the item? And you kind of have to convince yourself that if that's the item, I've already lost, and not go
And
back.
it's also tough because like obviously Nitro doesn't have the information we did about just how much earlier the various suit was picked up. It made the biggest difference it made was exactly the Ridley kill. Honestly, other than that, I don't really think Nitro being quote unquote late to it did much.
Having to
Overall?
loop the west again was unfortunately pretty bad, though. It was a couple
Yeah,
minutes just
yeah,
because of where that Ridley ends up being, and your way out is a crab hole that is really far away from everything else.
yeah.
So like that second loops, it's quite a few minutes, unfortunately. But I think the deciding factor was not being able to do that east and not going to it immediately. I think if Nitro goes to it immediately instead of last minute checking off some of the stuff that he skipped, then depending on how well it goes, it might have been pretty close. But I think with the gravity suit showing up at Wreck Ship E, it probably was Audra still probably pretty far in the lead.
Okay, so both of the outstanding themes were Wreck Ship Addict. That's kind of funny.
Yep, sounds about right.
The emptiest of East Meridias here at the end. Spring Ball was a plasma. I didn't quite catch where bombs were, but yeah, those are the things that we weren't finding in this seed. And yeah, this was game one. We'll take a quick break here. Thank you, Cutie, as always, for joining me on commentary. I will have a new co-com in the next race. I won't spoil it for anyone, but should be a fun one again, and we'll see if the series ends or if we can get a tied up match.
Yep, absolutely. I look forward to game two here. Thanks for having me. And game two should be starting here in, let's take a look here, about 5 minutes. So enjoy.